we are gonna be installing all this stuff on the Super 73 today. Wanted to walk you guys through so far, kind of first impressions, how much fun this thing is. I have about 80% of the upgrades. A few are still coming over the weekend, so we will install what we have today. That's gonna be a headlight, a new seat, a mirror, saddlebags, and basically some cable management stuff. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these modern Super 73s. They're all pretty much using the same engines except for the Z, which is still, it's gonna be a lighter bike, probably a fun ride. But I'll speak to the Super 73R, which is what we're riding on today. So starting off, we're gonna look at the Kanebilt Halo Light. A lot of this stuff is from Kanebilt. One thing I wanna say, I was a little frustrated. They removed the high beams from their lights. So just be aware of that. Basically, they told me they were having issues, so they just got rid of it. So instead of a three-way switch, all you have is on off. And then when this is hooked up to a battery, that's basically gonna give you just the halo light, whether you turn it on or off. Eventually, like the RX, I know this can already hook up to the battery itself. Because I have the R, they don't have the DC converter or something of that nature. So it should come out in the future per Super 73, but until that point, we're gonna have to install an external battery pack onto the bike to power this headlight. So effectively, you're just gonna wrap these into, I'm going with the third most based on the suspension here. That's gonna come through here, and then you'll put the bolt through and secure it. You can choose kind of how high you want the lights here, so that's one nice thing. Another thing to call out, they do not include installation instructions, nor do they exist on their website from what I was able to find. So luckily it's all pretty easy to install. So what you're gonna wanna do is tighten these down to where you get some friction, and it'll basically hold into place, but you're not gonna wanna tighten it the whole way yet because you're gonna wanna put the light on. So that way, you know everything's gonna align and fit perfectly, and you can still adjust it, and then you can tighten everything up at the end. So one thing to note, these are actually gonna be painted, so I'm trying to use basically a paper towel as I loosen them, because I don't wanna scrape that paint off, because it's gonna look silver and not match. So right now we're just hand tightening these guys. If this follows normal logic, which again, there's no install instructions, we're putting the washer between the bolt and the light itself. That should allow you to twist the light slightly if needed. That's usually how I'm gonna see things on here. In terms of lights, the other option is that it goes on the outside, but without instructions, I'm just gonna have to use my judgment and roll with that. So now you basically got two things coming out of here. We're gonna have the handlebar, actually this way, handlebar mount. So we'll put that up here for now. Just kind of let that hang. And then we also have the power cable. Just gonna run to the battery, which I'm not yet sure. Power is gonna come through with the other cables. And then this guy we will run up along with these guys. Trying to figure out if I like that height. Everything's level, which it is not exactly right now. That looks more level. Yeah, it is gonna take off a little paint doing this. I mean, you could always touch it up, I guess. Now they showed the battery mounting right here or here, I guess. I kind of want to go up here. Now my only thought as I'm doing that is maybe they put it here so it doesn't fall off as easily. I'm gonna hope this is pretty strong Velcro and they thought that through. Yeah, that's pretty strong. I don't think that's just gonna fall off, but let there be light. And then we got our light switch. Okay, so it was on already, so you got the halos right now. Next up, we're gonna do the seat. This will replace this guy. I'm gonna be honest, I am not entirely sure how this all works. I'm hoping I don't have to remove a bunch of these parts on here, because there's a bunch of electronics and some zip ties I would have to cut. So you're basically just taking 3 of these guys out. I've been having no issues. The front one, because of the rear shock, is gonna be a little bit different to take out. So we're gonna use this guy. Seat's off. Nice, and they kind of left you with packaging in there, so that's fun. Now, based on what I can tell, because of the complexity of these holes, You're gonna wanna put these back ones in first because they're gonna be the hardest to align. Tighten it the whole way. Let's get the other two in and then we can tighten. So what I'm doing here, see, so I can get visibility, get some light through, then we'll twist it back. All right, so all three are in. At this point, I just want to make sure everything's centered exactly how I want it to ride on the bike. You do have some play forward and backwards, as you can see, not a ton. I don't want to over tighten it because this is an Etsy thing and who knows how strong their glues are. Screwdriver is going to be pretty safe. Wrench could get a little torquey. So you guys can see width comparisons. Definitely, right? I mean, not substantially, but it is wider. Next up, saddlebags. I did some pre-research between recordings because I had no clue how these things go on. You have this weird thing which has double-sided tape. You've got this bracket which somehow needed to fit on here. And then basically this has Molle panel attachments on the back. Really nice made package is the good thing. But it was like, how am I gonna attach this? So this is gonna dual side onto here. I would argue this might be an optional piece based on what I was looking at, but it definitely will provide some padding. And then literally it's super simple from here. Because that's double-sided tape, I don't want to tighten everything down yet. And that is actually it. Boom, that guy's on. Then you got the actual panel. Nice weatherproof, well made. I'm gonna be installing the new handlebar grips, which should take almost no time. And then we've got a phone mount, which is gonna go on here as well. This also holds a GoPro, which would be kind of cool. The pedals that showed up, Amazon actually sent me the wrong pedals, so I've got to return those and order new ones. Those will not be in this video. So let's finish up these upgrades, then we'll talk about final thoughts. Riding this for about a week now. Handlebars are gonna be a super simple install. The ones that are on here are double locks. You're basically just gonna loosen both of these. I actually pre-loosened the right one. Boom. So this is gonna go this way. I might have to move these over a little bit. There's a tiny gap. These were not, they're probably 3 millimeters shorter than the ones that were on here stock. Not a big deal at all. That just means I push this over or I leave this as is. I went with ODI grips. I also tried, I got a pair of like 50 somethings off Amazon. Those to me felt really cheap for what it's worth. So if you're looking at anything like that, up to you, but I wouldn't recommend that brand. The rubber just felt really cheap as well as the metal pieces. These felt a lot more sturdy, the ODIs, and SUPER73 I found out sells them directly, so probably a good sign too that they stand behind the brand. These things, when you get them, are not attached. It's super simple. You just basically line these up, make sure they're facing the same way. Obviously you don't want one facing out, one facing in. At this point, I'm gonna do the mirror because that's gonna be easier. That's on, and we'll give the mirror one last tighten. Now I'm gonna link everything I'm installing right now in the video, obviously, so you guys can find it online. I've had these bike mounts before. They're all made by the same manufacturer. You can find them under a few different brand names though. The specific reason I wanted this one is because with my case, with my credit cards, everything, these are wide enough and long enough, it's gonna fit and hold it nicely. And then obviously I got the GoPro mount. Make sure the phone's centered. I've used this case to throw on mountain bikes and other things, gravel bikes, really been solid, so super happy with it. So I gotta say, this thing is so much fun. Almost to the point where it feels like a slow motorcycle almost more than it does like an e-bike. I still haven't figured out if that's a good or bad thing. As long as I can ride this around town, my primary use case is not feel like a jerk on the bike paths. So far, no one's bugged me. I've actually had a lot of people ask questions about it. I'm fine with it. It's a little beefy. It's definitely a big bike is the one thing to be aware of when you're getting it. Big, not necessarily like length, but more width, right? The tires are really wide, the battery, the seats, everything you have kind of on here adds to the width and the feel of the bike. You basically got a motorcycle light on here now, so just be aware, you know, if you're gonna ride this, you're more gonna be in bike lanes than you would wanna be on bike paths. So side of the road, you can basically keep up, if not pass cars, as you can see in a lot of these videos. Super quick, it's amazing. You can be going 20 miles an hour, hit the throttle, and you just keep going. Like, it actually pulls you back as you're already going 20 miles an hour. That's obviously an unlimited mode, ride that where legal. But overall, yeah, lots of fun, almost exactly what I wanted. I wanted something to get around town. Everything is about 3 miles from me that I need to get to anymore. So this is just gonna be a ton of fun to have, to go out, run errands with, go to trailheads, just ride around for the joy of it. That's my initial Super 73 review and upgrades, guys. I will do more videos in the future. Any questions on any of these parts, anything here, let me know in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you next time.